Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Koh Poh Koon. I'm standing as the PAP candidate for this by-election in Punggol East. As mentioned, I worked for 14 years at the Singapore General Hospital before setting up my own private practice at Mount Elizabeth Medical Centre. I've actually had many fond memories of Punggol. I was born in Punggol, and I spent my early childhood actually in Lorong Ching Lim, in the farmhouse over there. I remember I used to play in the pigsties and chicken coops that the family kept at the time. I often run to the rubber plantation behind the house, pick up rubber seeds and throw at the huge spider webs that grow between the trees. So these were all very fun and fond memories. When I was in Maristella High School, even then, I used to come back here quite a bit. In my early childhood, after a few years, I actually was relocated to Toa Payoh into a four-room HDB flat. So in my secondary school days, I continued to have some contacts with Punggol actually, and been through some of the development years. I came back almost every Saturday to my canoeing sessions. That was at Punggol Point. It probably looks very different nowadays. At that time, after each training session, I would usually have my meal at that famous Chun Seng restaurant at Punggol Point. I think if you remember, that's the one that is famous for chili crabs and mee goreng. So for many years, even after we relocated, we continue to come back and visit some of our relatives who are still here. I have a grand aunt who used to stay at what's called Hua Gang in Teochew. It's a small little fishing enclave. We used to visit her for many years until she herself got relocated as well. So Punggol has always occupied a very special place in my heart and with special memories. This and the fact that there are so many Teochews in Punggol itself kind of makes us all a bit like Teochew Nang, Kaki Nang. Coming back to Punggol East is a bit like coming home to me. But my growing up years wasn't easy. I actually grew up poor. My father was a bus driver, and interestingly, he drove bus number 82 for Trans-Island bus service, which some of you may remember, actually terminated at Punggol Point itself. So there were many juxtapositions in my life that is pretty much tied in with Punggol. He had to work 2 shifts a day in order to support a family of 5 children. My mom was a housewife and to take care of 5 of us. As the eldest child, I had to do some odd jobs in my younger days to actually supplement the family income. I studied in Macritchie Primary School in Toa Payoh. That school no longer exists. I think it's been kind of torn down years back when Toa Payoh, all the kids in Toa Payoh grew up. I did reasonably okay in PSLE and got a place in Maristella High School under the SAP program. So that gave me the opportunity to actually study Chinese as a first language. I did Chinese literature and Confucius ethics in Chinese. I was very inspired by the teachers who taught these subjects. Teachings such as 诸葛亮的鞠躬尽瘁，死而后已；文天祥的人生自古谁无死，留取丹心照汗青；范仲淹的先天下之忧而忧，后天下之乐而乐。These Chinese verses espouse loyalty and sacrifice for one's country as a great virtue. These teachings in the early formative years of my life has impacted me greatly and has a very long-lasting impact. Today, even with my busy clinical career, I continued service in my national service as a commanding officer for operationally ready NS Battalion. I went on to Hwa Chong Junior College after my secondary school, after which I took a study loan to study in NUS Medical School. My family and I are proof of the success of Singapore's meritocratic system. Despite my background and the limited resources we had at that time, I was able to fulfill my fullest potential and graduate as a doctor. I received good education, and even a kampong boy like me from Punggol can be where I am today. Subsequently, I was also given government funding to receive training, surgical training, at top institutions in both the US and the UK. Having spent some time away from home in foreign countries gave me the opportunity to appreciate new perspectives and also to appreciate some of the many things that we sometimes take for granted in Singapore. Our economic and political stability, the meritocratic system that we have, and also our common belief in racial and religious harmony. I owe my success to good governance and sound institutional policies put in place within our Singapore system. And I know many Singaporeans who share similar success stories just like me. But all these ingredients for success do not occur by chance. They must be put in place by a capable and committed government. So when I was called to serve, I felt duty-bound to stand and be counted. I want to help create the same opportunities that will enable Singaporeans to achieve their fullest potential. I believe as a community leader, I will be more involved and have a greater capability to shape the future of our country. As father of 2 young children, it is also my way of making sure that the Singapore that my kids grow up in will be as much the one that I've grown to love and cherish. This is the reason why I decided to enter politics. My training as a doctor has taught me to always put the interests of my patients first. Serving the residents of Punggol East is just an extension of this same calling to make their lives in the community better. As a HDB heartlander myself, I still stay in a HDB. I can readily identify with some of the issues that is faced by residents and Singaporeans. From getting our first homes, putting our kids through school, taking care of elderly folks. I remember when I finally got my HDB flat in 1998, just after I ORD from the army. My wife and I, one poor guy who finished NS, and my wife just being starting work for a couple of years, we had to borrow money from my uncle actually to do a renovation. You'll be surprised to know that at the end of the thing, before we moved into our house, in the combined account of our banks and our pockets together, we're $11.50. So we were scratching our head how to actually even have our first meal in the house when we have no money to buy chopsticks. We went down to Toyogo at Lorong 8, Toa Payoh, and we have to count the number of pieces of chopstick we can buy with $11.50 to equip our home. So that was something interesting that we sometimes look back with a bit of a sour feeling in the heart, but nonetheless interesting memories of the days that we struggled through. I'm sure a lot of Singaporeans are facing similar struggles, setting up their own homes and family as well. I want to make our community a better place to live in and to create opportunities for a better future. But I'm realistic. I know I cannot do this alone. For that, I will need to work with a strong and dedicated team of grassroots leaders within Punggol East, as well as with the support of the residents to make their lives in this area better. This is an estate with a lot of young families, young children, just like mine. And I think one of the things that we can seriously look into would be to improve facilities for childcare, things that will solve logistic problems for families with young children struggling to make ends meet, a couple working both and trying to take care of the young children. We will probably also push for more resources to get our community centre set up in the community. This will open up more facilities for residents to enjoy, to bond, and perhaps consider citing some of these childcare facilities within an area like this that increases the capacity for more utilization by the residents here. I hope the residents of Punggol East will trust me to do my utmost for them, just as I've always given my best for my patients with all my heart. Thank you.